Hey everyone, can you guess where I am? The core is looking a bit different, wouldn't you agree? Recently a group of players decided to remove all the previous builds from here, with no plans to construct anything here themselves, leaving the core as a blank canvas for future builds. The future of the core could truly be anything, and this got me thinking about what that could be. For a long time, Pest Control have been a major player on the server of Core Journey, and this often leaves the group as a big target for players seeking to make a name for themselves. It is debated whether we are a good team on the server, as I don't believe any team is fully without sin or any flaws, but I would definitely say that we are by far not the worst. On a scale from creative to destructive, we sit well within the creative side of the spectrum, creating iconic builds on the server, as well as being the founders of the community Discord, which has helped enable the server to continue to grow. The problem with Pest Control is some of our members, such as myself, the Postman, the SC Project and BearSkates420, have been playing on the server well before the first Reddit ad invasion, where the server count was often considered busy with 5 players online. So what we started playing on was almost unrecognisable to the world we have today. When we first arrived at the core, we were faced with no real opposition, which allowed us to take our time with our projects with no real stress. When we were about halfway through the first core build was when the ad invasion hit the server, and this changed the server for good. Whilst the core was occupied by Pest Control the first time, the server was young and the culture was very different to what we see today. Yes, there were toxic players, but they were often poor and didn't have much power, which allowed us to trust the majority of the server and host pit fights and play fair. This period enabled us to meet new players and connect with them and be seen as powerful but fair. This truly was a golden period for Pest Control, where they could build at the core, and a couple of griefs would occur, but the griefers could swiftly be dealt with. This trust we placed in new players and invited them to the core just showed how naive we truly were to what the server would eventually become. It wasn't until a failed core raid Pest Control carried out months later where I would first see my end crystal used in a PvP situation, as up until this point, fights had remained on the server with swords and bows, but now, with the use of end crystals and alts, it was almost impossible to trust any player on the server. The issue arises with Pest Control is having this nostalgia of having control of the core and being able to host events safely and build nice structures, and seeing new players travel all the way to the core just for a glimpse of the Pest Control tower, which is unfeasible in today's server environment. But despite this, we cannot let go of the core. Like a drug addict trying to relive their first high, we keep going back. There isn't really any tactical advantage of controlling the core, and often you put yourself at a higher risk by being there. However, the core is symbolic to the server and acts as a statement of the strength of your group. Personally, I think the issue with a Pest Control core is that only one gang building there means no other teams have a reason to protect this, and they have no investment there, allowing griefers to move in when you are offline. I think the solution to this is if multiple of large established groups came together to claim the core, who would all have an investment there and reason to protect it. Recently, I have found myself meeting a lot of players who do not attack on site, and the overall server environment seems much more united, and I believe the reason for this is there is a shared enemy, and by removing the shared enemy, would any previously formed alliances just collapse in on themselves as groups realise they have little in common with each other than an enemy? Let me know what you think in the comments down below.